We are live, Pankaj.
Okay, we'll start. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुस्सानां बुद्धो भगवाति ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्थि मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्च होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटीको अकालिको एहिपस्सिकोपनायको पच्छतं वेदितव्यो विन्नोहीति नमो तस्सनियानिक सदम्मसा ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्थि मे शरणं गण्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्च होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो संगो यदिदङ्गिसयुगानि अट्टपुरिसपुग्गल एषा भगवतो सावक संगो पाहुनय्यो दक्किनय्यो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यक्षेत्रं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्यपुग्गला महासंगसा ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्थि मे शरणं अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्च होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुपदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तं तं बनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्तदं धम्मश्रवणकालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मश्रवणकालो नमो तो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा सावत्यं विहरति जेतवने अनाथपिण्डिकस्य आरामे तेन कोपन समयेन अस्मा गिरिमानन्दो आबादिको होति दुःखितो बालगिलानो अतको अस्मा आनन्दो येन भगवातेन उपसंकमित्वा भगवन्तं अभिवादेत्वा एकमन्तं निसीदि एकमन्तं निसिन्नो को अयस्मा आनन्दो भगवन्तं ये तदवोच आयस्मा भन्ते गिरिमानन्दो अबाधिको होति दुःखितो बालगिलानो साधु भन्ते भगवा येनायस्मा गिरिमानन्दो तेनुपसंकमतु अनुकंपं उपादायाति सचेकोत्वंग आनंद गिरिमानंदस्य भिक्खुनो दशसंज्ञा भासय्यासि तानंकोपनेतं विज्जति यं गिरिमानंदस्य भिक्खुनो दशसंज्ञा श्रुत्वा सो अबाधो तानसो पटिप्पसंवेय्या कतमा दशा अनिच्च संज्ञा अनत्त संज्ञा अशुभ संज्ञा अदीनव संज्ञा पहान संज्ञा विराग संज्ञा निरोध संज्ञा सब्बलोके अनभिरत संज्ञा सब्ब संकारेषु अनिच्छा संज्ञा अनापानस्सति कतमाचानंद अनिच्च संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु अरण्यगतो वा रुक्कमूलगतो वा शून्यागारगतो वा इति पटि संचिक्कति रूपं अनिच्छं वेदना अनिच्छा संज्ञा अनिच्छा संखारा अनिच्छा विज्ञानं अनिच्छन्ति इति इमेषु पंचसु उपादानस्कन्धेषु अनिच्छानुपस्सी विहरति अयं उच्यतानंद अनिच्च संज्ञा कतमाचानंद अनत्त संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु अरण्यगतो वा रुक्कमूलगतो वा शून्यागारगतो वा इति पटि संचिक्कति चक्षु अनत्ता रूपा अनत्ता सोतं अनत्ता सद्दा अनत्ता घनं अनत्ता गंधा अनत्ता जिह्वा अनत्ता रसा अनत्ता काया अनत्ता पट्टब्बा अनत्ता मनो अनत्ता धम्मा अनत्ताति इति इमेषु छसु अज्जत्तिक बाहिरेषु आयतनेषु अनत्तानुपस्सी विहरति अयं उच्यतानंद अनत्त संज्ञा कतमाचानंद अशुभ संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु इममेवा कायं बुद्धं पादतला अधो केशमत्तका ते तच पर्यन्तं पूरं ज्ञानपकारस्य अशुचिनोपच्चवेक्कति अत्ति इमस्मिन् काये केशा लोमा नका दन्ता तचोमं संहारु अत्ति अत्तिमिञ्जं वक्कं हदयं यकनं किलोमकं पिहकं पप्पासं अंतं अंतगुणं उदरियं करीसं पित्तं शंहं कुब्बो लोहितं सेदो मेदो अस्सु वसा केलो सिंगाणि कालसिका मुत्तन्ति इति इमस्मिन् काये अशुभानुपस्सी विहरति अयं उच्यतानंद अशुभ संज्ञा कतमाचानंद आदीनव संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु अरण्यगतो वा रुक्कमूलगतो वा शून्यागारगतो वा इति पटि संचिक्कति बहुदुःखो को अयं कायो बहु आदीनवो इति इमस्मिन् काये विविधा अबाधा उपपज्जन्ति संयथिदं चक्षुरोगो सोतरोगो घानरोगो जिह्वरोगो कायरोगो सीसरोगो कण्णरोगो मुखरोगो दंतरोगो वट्टरोगो कासो सासो पिनासो दाहो जरो कुच्चिरोगो मुच्चा पक्कंडिका शूला विसूचिका कुट्टं गंडो किलासो सोसो अपमारो दड्डु कंडु कच्चु नकासा वितच्चिका लोहितं पित्तं मधुमेहो अंसा पीड़का बगंडला पित्त समुत्थान आबाधा सिंह समुत्थान आबाधा वात समुत्थान आबाधा सन्निपातिका आबाधा उतुपरिणामजा आबाधा विषम परिहारजा आबाधा उपक्रमिका आबाधा कर्म विपाकजा आबाधा शीतं गुणहं जिगच्छा पिपासा उच्चारोपस्सावोति इति इमस्मिन् काये आदीनवानुपस्सी विहरति अयं उच्यतानंद आदीनव संज्ञा कतमाचानंद पहान संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु उत्पन्नं काम वितक्तं नादिवासेति पजहति विनोदेति व्यंतीकरोति अनभावं गमेति उत्पंगम व्यापाद वितक्तं नादिवासेति पजहति विनोदेति व्यंतीकरोति अनभावं गमेति उत्पन्नं विहिंसा वितक्तं नादिवासेति पजहति विनोदेति व्यंतीकरोति अनभावं गमेति उत्पन्ने पापके अकुशले धम्मे नादिवासेति पजहति विनोदेति व्यंतीकरोति अनभावं गमेति अयं उच्यतानंद पहान संज्ञा कतमाचानंद विराग संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु अरण्यगतो वा रुक्कमूलगतो वा शून्यागारगतो वा इति पटि संचिक्कति एतं संतं एतं पणीतं यदिदं सब्ब संखारस्समतो सब्बूपदि पटिनिस्सग्गो तन्हा कयो विरागो निब्बाणन्ति अयं उच्यतानंद विराग संज्ञा कतमाचानंद निरोध संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु अरण्यगतो वा रुक्कमूलगतो वा शून्यागारगतो वा इति पटि संचिक्कति एतं संतं एतं पणीतं यदिदं सब्ब संखार समतो सब्बू पदि पटि निस्सग्गो तन्हा कयो निरोधो निब्बाणन्ति अयं उच्यतानंद निरोध संज्ञा कतमाचानंद सब्बलोके अनविरत संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु ये लोके उपादान चेतसो अधिष्ठाना अभिनिवेशानुसया ते पजहन्तो विहरति अनुपादीयन्तो अयं उच्यतानंद सब्बलोके अनविरत संज्ञा कतमाचानंद सब्ब संखारेषु अनिच्छा संज्ञा इदानंद भिक्खु सब्ब संखारेषु अट्टीयति हरायति जीगुच्छति अयं उच्यतानंद सब्ब संखारेषु अनिच्छा संज्ञा कतमाचानंद अनापानस्सति Idananda bhikkhu aranyagato va rukkamulagato va sunyagaragato va nisidati Pallankang abhujitva ujunkhayang panidaya parimukang sating upattapetva so satova asasati satova pasasati digang va asasanto digang asasamiti pajanati digang va pasasanto digang pasasamiti pajanati rasang va asasanto rasang asasamiti pajanati rasang va pasasanto rasang pasasamiti pajanati Sabbakaya pati samvedi asassamiti sikkati sabbakaya pati samvedi pasasissamiti sikkati passang bayankaya sankarang asasissamiti sikkati passang bayankaya sankara pasasissamiti sikkati piti pati samvedi asasissamiti sikkati piti pati samvedi pasasissamiti sikkati sukapati samvedi asasissamiti sikkati sukapati samvedi pasasissamiti sikkati चित्त संकार पटि संवेदी असस हिस्सामीति सिक्कति चित्त संकार पटि संवेदी पसस हिस्सामीति सिक्कति पसंग भयं चित्त संकारंग असस्सामीति सिक्कति पसंग भयं चित्त संकारंग पसस्सामीति सिक्कति चित्त पटि संवेदी असस्सामीति सिक्कति चित्त पटि संवेदी पसस्सामीति सिक्कति अभिप्रमोदयं चित्तं असस हिस्सामीति सिक्कति अभिप्रमोदयं चित्तं पसस हिस्सामीति सिक्कति समादहं चित्तं असस हिस्सामीति सिक्कति समादहं चित्तं पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति विमोचयं चित्तं अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति विमोचयं चित्तं पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति अनिच्छानुपस्सी अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति अनिच्छानुपस्सी पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति विरागानुपस्सी अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति विरागानुपस्सी पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति निरोधानुपस्सी अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति निरोधानुपस्सी पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति पटिनिस्सग्गानुपस्सी अससिस्सामीति सिक्खति पटिनिस्सग्गानुपस्सी पससिस्सामीति सिक्खति अयं उच्चतानंद आनापानस्सति सचेकोत्वंगानंद गिरिमानंदस्स भिक्खुनो इमा दश संज्ञा भासय्यासि तानं कोपणे तं विज्जति यं गिरिमानंदस्स भिक्खुनो इमा दश संज्ञा सुत्वा सो अबाधो तानसो पटिपस्संवय्याति अथको आयस्मा आनंदो भगवतो संतिके इमा दशा संज्ञा उग्गाहेत्वा येन आयस्मा गिरिमानंदो तेनुपसंकमी उपसंकमित्वा आयस्मतो गिरिमानंदस्स इमा दश संज्ञा अभासि अथको आयस्मतो गिरिमानंदस्स दश संज्ञा सुत्वा सो अबाधो तानसो पटिपस्संबि उट्टाहिच्छायस्मा गिरिमानंदो तम्हा अबाध तथापहीनो च पनायस्मतो गिरिमानंदस्स सो अबाधो अहोसीति एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोतिनो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतिनो जयमंगलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातुनो रतनत्रयम् सबिथियो विवज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवत्वन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोत्ति भवन्तु ते इमिना पुण्याकम्येन मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावनिब्बानपत्तिया इदं मे पुण्याकम्मं आसवक्कयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपच्चयो होतु so this today's chanting is in sutra called Girimananda Sutra or Girimananda Sutta. In Pali it's called Sutta, in Sanskrit it is Sutra. So just like some time back, by contemplating the 7 enlightenment factors, so how it will motivate even a sick person to think about Nibbana, to think about ultimate peace, and to appreciate that very ultimate peace, the Nibbana. That itself is one health factor that will have an impact on your health, that will set right different imbalances in the body also, not just the imbalance in the mind, it will set right the imbalance in the body also. Just a thought about Nibbana, just a thought or inclination about Nibbana, that is the power of this ultimate goal of liberation. That may be the main reason why all great Indian masters, they emphasized on Nibbana or moksha, the ultimate liberation, as the highest goal or the only goal of the human beings. It has been emphasized from eons, from generations. And Buddha also, of course, very authoritatively, very pragmatically, scientifically, he has not only emphasized the ultimate goal, he has clearly defined, clearly say given the different techniques to reach this ultimate goal. The path is very clearly defined, very clearly laid by the Buddha. That is what is the contribution of the all Buddhas, not just our Gautama Buddha. So in that way, so by remembering the enlightenment factors, the 7 enlightenment factors, Sati, Dhamma, Vichaya, Virya, Priti, Pasati, Samadhi, Upeka, mindfulness, heedfulness, investigation, correctly assessing what is what, Virya, effort, Priti is rapture, the comfort or lightness in the body, and then Pasati, the calmness, the stability in the mind, Samadhi, concentration, Upeka, the equanimity in the mind. These are the 7 factors of enlightenment that will help us to think about liberation, know these 7 factors, practice them as the means to reach enlightenment. So these very factors and the practice of these factors and the ultimate, the end of the practice of these factors, that is Nibbana. These things, if you comprehend, contemplate, that itself will balance the mind, will balance the body, you will achieve the health also. That's what we have learned some time back. There are 3 sutras. They are called Bojjangas, the enlightenment factors, the factors of enlightenment, Bodhi, Anga, Bojjanga. So in 3 sutras, these 7 factors are again and again, they're emphasized, they're asked to contemplate by the sick people also, by the sick person also, so that he can achieve that, say, proper health, of course. In addition to that, he will work on this enlightenment, or the vice versa. When he starts thinking about enlightenment, then automatically his body also will start supporting by developing the balance in all the 4 elements of the body. The body becomes healthy and he can start working on enlightenment. That is the power of enlightenment factors. The same way in today's chanting also, Buddha emphasizes 10 kinds of right perception, the sanya, 10 kinds of sanya, dasa sanya. If you contemplate these 10 kinds of right perception, means right knowledge, what is permanent, what is not permanent, what is happiness, what is not happiness, what is beautiful, what is not beautiful, what is danger, what is not danger, adhinavasan, danger, what is not danger. That kind of clarity, if you have that kind of understanding, that kind of discretely knowledge in your mind of what is beautiful, what is not beautiful, then you will develop a lot of equanimity, a lot of understanding will lead to a lot of equanimity. So you will not get into the trap of, say, the ephemeral things, the things that appear as beautiful and they give pleasure, but finally they will ditch you in the suffering. You will fall into a lot of suffering, a lot of misery. So if you don't have that clarity, if you don't have that discretely knowledge of what is what, that what is actually sanya, that understanding of what leads to happiness, what leads to suffering, that correct discretion, that correct clarity, that is sanya. So there are 10 kinds of sanya. Knowing what is permanent, what is not permanent, knowing what is suffering, what is not suffering, knowing what is beautiful and attractive, knowing what is not beautiful, not attractive, knowing what is dangerous, what is not dangerous. The same way, what is say, there are so many other things. There are 6 more kinds of discrete knowledge up to anapanasati. Even the understanding of observing the breaths as they are. Again, observing the breaths. Many people in the awareness also, they do mistakes. So observing the things as they are. That discrete knowledge, and based on the discrete knowledge, observing the breaths as they are. That also comes under the right perception. In that way, Buddha enlists 10 kinds of right perception in this Girimananda Sutta, and he encourages one disciple, Girimananda, who was sick at that time. By contemplating this, so he became healthy. So all these things, what you should know is the correct understanding, the correct awareness, the right understanding, the right view about the perceptions, right view perceptions, right view awareness, right view feelings, and right view confidence, sankhara, and right view feelings, vedana, right view awareness, vijnana or vijnana, and right view perception, that is sanya. All these things, if you bring in this right view component and start practicing and aspiring for keeping an aspiration for nibbana, the chanda for nibbana, then your mind will be balanced, your body will be balanced, the 4 elements of the body will be balanced, the 4 aggregates of the mind will be balanced. That is what is emphasized in all these sutras by Lord Buddha. So in that way, in this sutra also, what you should know, bringing in this right view into your understanding, into your knowledge is also very crucial. So then automatically you will be healthy also. You will derive the true happiness, true peace of mind also. So in that way, we can understand this Girimananda Sutra. So now we will take up today's topic, that is Sukhavagga. That is one of the chapters in Dhammapada. Dhammapada, there are so many chapters. The 15th chapter is this Sukhavagga. Sukha means, of course, all of you know, happiness. Vagga means like the chapter or the section on this Sukha, or the happiness, the section on happiness. That we are going to learn and contemplate the different means and ways that Buddha has given to derive the true happiness. That will definitely give a lot of insights into the right happiness. As just now I was telling you about one of the right perceptions is knowing about what is happiness, what is suffering. That correct difference between the means and knowing the definition and the means of happiness, knowing the suffering and the means of suffering, that clarity also you will get. Of course, in 4 Noble Truths also it is there, but here in this Sukhavagga also, in so many other different ways, Buddha has clarified about the happiness and the means to achieve happiness. So that we will see now by going through these different verses of this Sukhavagga. There are few verses, maybe some 8-9 verses. We'll take up these verses and we'll just go through. And maybe some background stories are also there. Maybe 1 or 2 background stories also we will see. And definitely we will get a lot of insights into know about happiness and also to know the means and ways to achieve happiness. Just by going through these different verses of Sukhavagga. The chapter on happiness that is seen in this Dhammapada. Dhammapada is the compilation of the very important verses taught by Buddha. It is considered very holy, very special scripture. So we will just see some of the verses of this Sukhavagga of Dhammapada, and then we'll see some background stories also based on the time. So the first 3 gathas in this Sukhavagga, they give an idea about how by keeping away our own defilements, mental defilements, they will give us happiness. So, what is the first gatha? What is the first verse? Let us live on without hatred. Verinesu averino. Amongst those who do have hatred. Many times we have to live in the midst of hateful people. But if you have developed your metta mind, your let go mind, letting go of not reacting to others' hatred, and developed that kind of maturity by letting go your defilement of not reacting to hateful people with hatredness, then such a person is a truly happy person. And we have to live like that. We have to, because the world is full of hateful people. In the midst of these people, we should cultivate this habit of non-reacting, non-hating in the midst of these hateful people. Amongst humans who have hatred, let us now live without hatred. Learn this art of living without hatred. Even though you have to encounter a lot of hateful people, with your metta, with your patience, with your compassion, karuna, with your awareness, with your skillfulness, one should live happily without reacting, without hating in the midst of hateful people. That is the way to live happily. In that way, Buddha has given this simple tip of again developing the mind to stop this reacting mind, to stop this hateful mind that automatically, when somebody hates, automatically by default, our mind also it's reactive, it will also start hating. But in that situation, you won't derive happiness. You will again fall into deeper suffering. So that is not the way to live happily. In the midst of the hateful people, you should learn the art of living with compassion, with equanimity, with awareness, with skillfulness, with loving kindness. That is the way to live happily. Let us live on without sickness. Athuresvanatva. In that here, sickness or attachment also in that way. We can say here there are different meanings, but here they have mentioned in this commentary as sickness, or even the greed or attachment. Sickness of attachment, sickness of greed. So in the midst of those people, as a caretaker, we should handle these different possessions and without greed. That's what is the message of Gatha. Then again, Buddha says, let us live on without longing. It's not only just attachment. We keep on longing for something. We keep on expecting that we don't have. Attachment means that we have, we are not in a position to leave it. That is attachment. Longing is we don't have something when we keep on expecting again and again. That is longing. So one should live without longing in the midst of the people who are having this lot of longing, even from our from us also they expect, they long so much, they have that longing to get something from us. So in the midst of these people, how to live without longing. So that also leads to happiness. So here 3 points that are mentioned here is without hatred we should learn to live. Without attachment we should learn to live. Attachment means whatever we have, so towards those possessions we should not develop a lot of clinging to it. That is what is attachment. So without that one should learn how to live. Sukha. So without that longing also one should learn to live. Then only a person has learned this art of living happily. So what is the background story of these 3 gathas? Buddha belongs to is a Sakyan, and his mother, she belongs to Kolian clan. That is the neighboring community, neighboring clan from the neighboring state in the present day Nepal. And his father, he belonged to this Sakyan clan, the present day Uttar Pradesh, northern parts of Uttar Pradesh, Sravasti, that part. So, so Buddha belongs to both these clans because his mother is from Kolian clan and his father from Sakyan clan. But unfortunately, one river it separated these two kingdoms, and the people from both these kingdoms they used to fight for this river water. Hmm? So these Kolians and Sakyans. So, so in order to prevent bloodshed, they went to such an extent they started thinking of attacking each other, killing each other. Then Buddha came in the way and he just subdued gathas to these both Kolians and Sakyans. So it is not the wise way to live. You just come out of this hatred, this longing and this attachment, mm, and learn how to live happily. So blood is more precious than water. So shedding the blood for the sake of water is not wisdom, is not skillfulness, is not the right way to live. So in that way, he could pacify both these groups by highlighting the importance of happy living, peaceful living, rather than all these. So in that way, Buddha could convince these two groups by giving these three gathas about the importance of non-hatred, non-longing, and non-attachment, how one can live happily, how it is more precious than violence, than attachment, than greed and hatred and longing. In that way, Buddha could convince them. So here, what you are supposed to learn is the three roots in our mind, the three defilements, major defilements. They only will give us suffering, lot of misery. One should learn how to identify them, how to let go of them, and that is the way to lead a happy life. That is the takeaway from these three gathas. That is the means, the right means to get the right happiness. Then the next gatha is then who will live? Who are the role models who live like this without this greed and longing and attachment? For that, Buddha gives the next gatha. We can live happily enough, having no possessions ourselves. We will feed on joy like the gods of streaming light. Abhasara, Abhasara Deva. There are there is one plane of existence called Abhasara plane. There, the divine beings, they always feed on their own joy, the piti. They have this loving kindness, they have this awareness, they have this developed matured mind. Once you achieve that matured mind, that itself will give you immense joy. You need not struggle for your essential requirements, bodily requirements, and need not keep fighting. And it requires a little bit of meditation, a little bit of mind training, mind development. So then you can depend on your own piti, your own inner joy, your own mental purity, mental light, the light of the wisdom, light of purity. That's why they're called Abhasara. Abha means light. The Asara means continuous light they will be experiencing, they are facing. That kind of mental maturity by practicing meditation, they have achieved, and because of that, they are deriving a lot of piti, the inner joy they are deriving. So that is the way to achieve the true happiness. That means by meditation one can achieve true happiness. By cultivating the mind, one can achieve true happiness. By deriving this inner light, one can achieve true happiness. In that way, Buddha is again motivating the audience to work on mind cultivation, to work on getting this light of purity, light of wisdom, abhasara. Then automatically you will get that inner joy, that piti sukha, that inner joy you will start getting. So that is the way to get an authoritative true happiness. That is one more way of getting the true happiness. By letting go of your defilements is one way, and cultivating the mind to get this light, the inner light, the light of wisdom, the light of purity, is another way of getting true happiness. In that way, you can understand about getting the true happiness by purifying the mind, by getting this light of purity. Then the next one is the victor generates hatred, the defeated one finds suffering, the one at peace lives happily without victory and defeat. Yeah, this is one more important gatha. So here, what Buddha is insisting, Buddha is emphasizing, highlighting here. There was a fight, of course, between the king of Kosala and king of Magadha. King of Magadha is like the present Bihar, and the king of Kosala is UP. They always used to fight, though they were relatives. They were like uncle and say nephew. The nephew was the king in Magadha, and the uncle king in Kosala. They always used to fight for some, of course, for the sake of some territorial issues. Both of them, they were disciples of Buddha. The king of Magadha was also a disciple, Ajatashatru, and king of Kosala, Pasenadi, was also the disciple of Buddha. And when this king of Kosala was defeated and he came to Buddha, then Buddha gave him the importance of, say, being equanimous, how this victory and how this gatha, and how to transcend beyond this victory and defeat, and how to derive the true happiness. So, as I used to say, transcending beyond this liking and disliking, transcending beyond this worldly vicissitudes, the ups and downs, the defeat and success, or the victory, and then pain and pleasure, prize and blame, profit and loss. All these things, of course, they are very much there in the world, and one should learn how to transcend them, how to remain equanimous when somebody is prizing you, somebody is blaming you, when you are in profit, when you are under loss. Still happiness, true happiness. That's what is highlighted here, is explained here. Because the victor always generates hatred, and the defeated one finds suffering. So the defeated one, he undergoes a lot of suffering, and the victor, he develops some ego and hatred, he develops. And in both these states of affairs, like say either by through victory or through, one's ego will be hurt and he will suffer directly or indirectly. Even a victor will suffer because he cultivates, he develops a lot of defilements like hatred and ego and all these things. So by transcending both this victory and defeat, one can derive the true peace. In that way, Buddha consoles this king, the defeated king, Pasenadi. So here, what is the message for other people? The message for other people is, so one should not be affected by this loka dhamma, atta loka dhamma. The atta loka dhamma, as I told you just now, is profit and loss, defeat and failure, or praise and blame. So these things, and also pain and pleasure. So one should transcend these things. Then, and one should learn how to keep the mind equanimous. Equanimity will bring tremendous joy. About this equanimity, I want to highlight, because that is what is emphasized in almost all teachings of Buddha, and that is what is emphasized and being taught, and we are being trained in all these different levels. That I will tell you how our different techniques will take you to equanimity. Will come and to achieve that samatha, the happiness of equanimity. That is the superior equanimity. In all these teachings, that tinge of equanimity, that higher happiness of equanimity, you can see, and that is the true happiness. Somehow one should always look into that higher happiness, which one can derive by achieving that balance, by achieving that equanimity in the mind. So all these different techniques, by removing your defilements, you achieve to some extent the equanimity, and that's why you derive true happiness. By developing the mind, by cultivating the mind, by deriving the light, the inner light, by purifying the mind, the light of wisdom, the light of purity, you will derive that equanimity to a greater extent. That gives you happiness. By remaining unperturbed when you are defeated, when you are victorious, when you are prized, when you are blamed, again you derive that kind of uh, superior happiness, happiness of equanimity. Mm. So in that way, that tinge of equanimity you can see in all the teachings of Buddha. That glimpse of, or that uh, somehow it is ingrained in almost all teachings of, directly or indirectly, Buddha presents this happiness. So that I will tell of this equanimity and the happiness of equanimity at the end of the discourse. Then there is no bonfire like passion. There is no offense like hatred. There is no suffering like the components of mind and body. No happiness other than peace. Here Buddha, he saw one young man. He was suffering with lot of passion, lost his senses. He was not knowing what to do, whom to respect, and what exactly he should do. All the discretion, everything he had lost. So Buddha, after seeing him, he gives this discourse or this gatha. So he says this: there is no bonfire like passion. One who is stuck with this passion, sensual passion, then he will completely lose his happiness, his awareness. He'll be simply carried away in those thoughts, and he can't do anything. He can't achieve anything in the life. And in the same way, he continues. The same thing will happens with the hatred also. And not only this greed and hatred, the very mind and body, when we carry this mind and body, we are bound to undergo a lot of oppression, lot of suffering. So one should learn how to transcend this mind and body and derive the true happiness. In that way, by listening to this, many people they understood the importance of equanimity, importance of cultivating the mind. Bringing equanimity practice, so that many people understood. Then another gatha. So this is with regard to the importance of not completely torture the body. That becomes again one horrible suffering. One should strike the moderation, the middle path. The middle path is highlighted in this gatha. So what he says in this gatha, hunger is the supreme sickness. Jigacha paramaroga. Jigacha means hunger. Paramaroga means like supreme sickness. It is the highest sickness, hunger. Sankara paramadukka. Sankara means all these mental conditions that we have so many kinds of conditioned mind. Like we have a lot of likings, dislikings, reacting mind. We want something, we hate something, immediately react to something which we like or don't like. So that kind of conditioned mind is suffering. That leads to a lot of suffering. So if you know these things as they are and come out of this, by knowing these things as they are, then automatically you can come out this positive bodily suffering and also the mental suffering. If you learn how to know as they are, then you can start coming out of it and you reach Nibbana. That you start knowing this body and mind and start transcending this body and mind, then you start getting the true happiness. And once you transcend completely the body and mind, that is Nibbana, that is the ultimate happiness. So what is the means to achieve this transcending? to observe the things as they are, not being carried away, not reacting, or not taking extremes, not completely torturing the body or completely indulging in the sensual things. That is not the way. Striking the moderation, middle path, whatever basic things are required for the body, whatever the basic things required for the mind, fulfilling that, and rest of the time purifying the mind. That is the wise way, that is the skillful way to derive the true happiness. And that only will take you towards the ultimate happiness that is required. What is the background story here? Buddha saw one poor person, one poor farmer. He is ready to attain the first stage of enlightenment. It's called Sotapanna. He could see the glimpse of enlightenment. So he wanted to help him. So he came in search of this poor person. See, that is the beauty of Buddha's compassion. So when in his meditation, he can see who is ready to learn from me and who can become a liberated person, who can get enlightenment. So Buddha used to come to him and used to teach him, even when the person is ready. That's why when the minds are ready, then the teachers will appear. So this farmer, though he's a poor farmer, Buddha thought that he has matured faculties, he's ready to get enlightenment. So he came in search of him. That time he saw this poor farmer. He was looking for his lost ox. He lost one of his oxen. He was looking for his ox, one bullock, because he lost it. He was searching, he was seeking that lost ox. And then Buddha told his disciples, he ordered his disciples to feed him first. He was tired, and of course, after searching for a long time, he got it, but he was very tired. He was feeling very hungry. And then after feeding him, when he came to monastery actually, so after feeding him, Buddha, he taught him Dhamma, and after listening to Dhamma, he became Sotapanna. So based on this, situation, Buddha could explain about the importance of the moderation. You can't teach Dhamma, the higher wisdom, to a hungry man. His basic needs should be satisfied. Here in Nepal, in this Himalayan region, there are so many poor people. I thought of teaching them because of their poverty and a lot of dependence on the basic needs, worldly needs. So I find it very difficult. So then I thought of helping him to some extent to satisfy their basic needs, and then after that they could listen to them and they could learn them. So that way, we have some plans to say help these people. And then, of course, we can again teach them and we can give them the spiritual knowledge in addition to these basic needs. So that's why moderation is important, and also understanding the needs of the person, the immediate needs of the person is also important. Simply explaining or motivating people towards nibbana, towards enlightenment, it will not help. He should assess his situation, one's situation. So in that way, you can also involve directly or indirectly in helping such people, and also to help them to give this spiritual knowledge. So of course, now we are conducting online programs and we are giving only spiritual knowledge. Maybe in future, we can think of helping such poor people also to get this little bit of early support and then the spiritual support also. So that is about the importance of moderation and middle path. That also leads to true happiness, taking care of the basic necessities and the needs of the body, and then the materialistic needs, and then working on the spiritual needs. That is the right path. That is the middle path and the right path. And one more interesting and little amusing gatha given to the king Pasenadi, the king of Kosala. So He was a great devotee of Buddha, and he was the habit of overeating, and he used to eat too much, and because of that, he used to suffer. He used to become too lazy, too dull, and he used to say he has to face the taste of defeat all the time uh, by his nephew, the king of Magadha. So to teach him again the importance of moderation, overeating and all, how it is dangerous. Not eating and struggling without food is one extreme, and overeating and indulging in the eating and sensual things is another extreme. So again, Buddha teaches this King Pasenadi not to indulge in these extremes. To the king also, to the poor person, he teaches how to take care of the bodily needs, how to feed the body. Mm. At the same time, to this king who was eating too much, for him also Buddha is teaching. So indulging in too much in the sensual things, in eating and other sensual things, that also leads to a lot of problems, health issues, mind issues, and you won't get the inner happiness. You can't stabilize the mind, you can't settle the mind, you can't purify the mind, you can't get the inner happiness, inner peace. So Buddha taught him again the importance of moderation, and he asked one of his attendants, that king's attendants, to memorize this gatha and to keep on chanting this gatha whenever that king was eating. He used to eat several times and too much. When this gatha is chanted, then he will come to his senses and he will reduce his eating, the amount that he used to take, he can reduce it, and he can get the true happiness, the moderation he can achieve, and thereby he can get good health and true happiness also. So with that intention, Buddha gave this verse. What is this verse? Arogya Paramalabha. Health is the supreme gain. By overeating, don't get into the trap of these different kinds of sicknesses. So eat moderately and achieve arogya. That is the supreme gain. That is the best gain. Labha means gain. That is the best profit that you can think of in the world. Santutti Paramangdanam. Contentment is the supreme wealth. Being contented, being happy with whatever you have is the best wealth. Whatever wealth you have, and if you are not satisfied, then what is the use of having the wealth? Whatever you have, if you are satisfied, the contentment is there in your mind, that santrupti is there, then that is the best wealth. Then Vistasa Paramanya, faith is supreme kin. The kith and kin, there may be so many kith and kin, but if there is no faithful person, then there is no use of having so many kith and kin, so many relatives. So the truth, the trustworthy person, the faithful person is the true relative, true kith and kin. That way, Buddha is highlighting the importance of the faith, trustworthiness, and Nibbana, supreme good. Nibbanan Paramang Sukha, supreme happiness. So here again, Buddha is emphasizing by following the path of moderation, by following the middle path, not becoming too greedy in the worldly possessions, accumulating a lot of wealth and possessions with greed, and eating too much, indulging in a lot of sensual things, and having so many relatives, so many friends who are not really faithful. And if you have faith in only one person, like Buddha or the person who is working for liberation, that is more than enough. Because these moderation and these faithful people with whom you have right faith with the right person, that will take you to the ultimate peace, that is Nibbana. So in that way, Buddha is highlighting the importance of moderation. The previous Gatha, he explained about the importance of not torturing the body. And in the this Gatha, and in this Gatha, Buddha is emphasizing not indulging too much the sensual things or in the possessions or with the people, not indulge too much. So strike the moderation, strike the middle path, then you can achieve the true happiness that will take you to the ultimate happiness, Nibbana also. That is about this. this gatha. This is also very popular gatha about the importance of middle path. Then the last gatha. No, one more. So one more is there. So here Buddha, he decided to take Nibbana, Mahaparinibbana. That means to give up body and enter into this Nibbana. So one of his disciples, Venerable Tissa, after listening to this Buddha's proclamation, Buddha's decision to take Mahaparinibbana, he went to solitude and he started meditating. And when people started looking for him, he was not there, and people felt bad. But the last minute, as the last time, Buddha, he would have been with Buddha. And they started complaining about this Venerable Tissa to Buddha. So he is not there, though you have declared that you are going to leave us, but he is not here. He doesn't have faith or trust in you. Then Buddha actually, he prizes him. He prizes this Venerable Tissa. Whatever he's doing, what he's doing is absolutely perfect. So there is no need to be with me, but one should work on his own mind. One should work on his own mind and purify his mind. That is the best way they can show their respect to me, their gratitude and respect to me. One should purify and one should cultivate the mind. That is the best way. By fulfilling the parmis, the lay people fulfilling the punya kriyas, and of course through the meditators, the serious meditators, by taking the retreats, self-retreats, and practicing meditation seriously, getting jhanas, getting the insights, ultimate insights. So that is the way to respect me. That way Buddha prizes this Tissa, Venerable Tissa. Here he is highlighting the importance of solitude, savoring the taste of solitude and savoring the taste of peace. He is fearless, faultless, savoring the joyful taste of the Dhamma. The one who is enjoying the Dhamma by practicing these different parmis and punya kriyas, one who is enjoying the meditation by being alone, by being in solitude, that is also true happiness. Simply stuck with people, stuck in the masses, in the groups, and then simply wasting the time in the sensual things, the worldly things, indulging in the sensual pleasures, or torturing. So in all these extremes, one should not fall into. One should paviveka, as much as possible, be alone, enter into solitude, and work on one's own mind. That's also one right way to achieve happiness. That way Buddha is prizing the importance of the solitude, loneliness. Then again, in this final small three gathas, only one background story is there. Sakka, the divine king, he came to Buddha and he showed his reverence, his respects to Buddha. And then, because of listening to Buddha, he became stream enterer, Sotapanna. He could also see the first glimpse of enlightenment. He was having a lot of gratitude towards Buddha. And he started prizing about the great service or great teachings of Buddha, because of which he became enlightened one. He became Sotapanna. So what are these three gathas where this king of the divine beings, he used to praise Buddha. Meeting the noble ones is good and living together is pleasant. Through not meeting foolish people, one will constantly be happy. So this is very much important. This is very much highlighted in so many gathas. Asevanacha balana, keep away the foolish people. Panditanancha sevana, be with the wise people. So Buddha, Sakka is also insisting. He also became a Sotapanna, an Arya who has seen enlightenment after listening to Buddha, and he is insisting that no, actually, after listening to the Sakka's praise towards Buddha, then Buddha insists even the divine people should visit the Pandita, the wise people, just like this Sakka. He should serve them, the wise people and the respectable ones, not being carried away, even though the divine beings, they have matured minds, but still they have a lot of defilements in their mind. So he just left them and he came to Buddha to serve Buddha, to be in association of Buddha and his disciples. That's what is the right way to develop wisdom. Keeping away the fools, be in the association of the right people, wise people. That gives the happiness. That way Buddha is highlighting one very, very crucial thing for all, especially the householders. Because many a times you have to be with the foolish people. At least now and then one should keep their company away from you and just keep them away. Be in the association of wise people and listen to the words of wisdom that at least say streamline your all faculties to work for Nibbana and to get the true happiness. Even to listen to the wise people itself is the way to derive the true happiness. That's what is highlighted or emphasized here by Buddha. As he is demonstrating this principle of being with the wise people by using this great devotee, the Sakka, the divine king Sakka. Indra or Sakka is the king of the divine. So just like this Indra, just keep away from the foolish people, just serve the wise people now and then. Be in the association of wise people often. That is the best way to get the true happiness. That Buddha is encouraging the lay people. For he who consorts with fools grieves for a long time. Dwelling with fools is always suffering, as it is with enemies. The wise one dwells happily as with his kin. So, dwelling with fools, being with fools, it leads to suffering for a long time. They are more dangerous than the enemies. So foolish people are more dangerous than the enemies. So you have to suffer for a long time if you dwell with them, if you live with them. So dissociate from them as much as possible. And and the wise person always, if you won't get the other wise people or the respectable ones or the teachers, the true teachers, let him learn how to live alone. That way, one should learn how to keep away the foolish people. That leads to a lot of true happiness. That leads to true happiness very authoritatively. That way, Buddha is encouraging the association of wise people, dissociation of foolish people, the fools. Therefore, the firm, the wise and the learned, the virtuous, dutiful and noble, keep company with such true person as the moon accompanies the stars. What we should do? Just like the stars accompany the moon, the night sky you can see. Moon looks like a leader and the stars look like the followers. In the same way, the people should associate with the wise person. So in his association, they will also get radiance, they will also get light, they will also get wisdom, they will also get more than all these things, they will get the true happiness. That's what is the suggestion of Buddha to the lay people. And of course, Sakka, the king of the divine beings, was also there. So when he himself, as a king, he is not bothered about the company of the other divine beings. He is bothered about the company of Buddha. The same way, the lay people, the householders, should learn how to be in association with the wise man. Just like, and they will get everything. They will get the light, illumination, wisdom, glory, everything. And more than that, they will get the true happiness. He gives the simile of this moon and stars also. The moon is there, the other stars also. They will get the value. Just like the other stars follow the moon, the people should follow the wise one. Then they'll get the true happiness. That is the different ways and means one can derive sukha, happiness. Slowly fixing the defilements on one's own defilements like greed, attachment, and longing. That is the means, that is the way to get true happiness. cultivating the mind by purifying the mind through meditation and getting this light of purity, light of wisdom, like Abba Saradevas. That is one way of getting true happiness. And then striking moderation, not falling into the extremes of either torturing the body, being hungry all the time, or not having the basic minimum needs for the body, and still struggling to get the enlightenment. That leads to a lot of suffering. That is not the way. At the same time, not completely indulging in the essential things, overeating or indulgence in the essential things. That also leads to suffering. These extremes will lead to suffering. Strike the moderation. There only the balance will come. That leads to the ultimate happiness, nibbana. So in that way, Buddha is encouraging the middle path, moderation. And also, Buddha is encouraging the association with the wise people, not falling into the trap of foolish people, and their company leads to long-term suffering. So as far as possible, be in the association of wise people. If not wise people, if you won't get wise people, learn how to be alone, how to enjoy the solitude, how to rest your mind, how to be with yourself in solitude. Learn that art, that paviveka, that solitude. That will also help you to develop your mind and achieve true happiness. So these are the different ways and means to achieve happiness. That is about for today's topic, understanding the happiness, true happiness. Okay. So with this, we'll conclude today's Dhamma talk. As usual, if you have some questions, we can ask. Then with the chanting.
Namaste, Banteji.
Yes.
Vikas Patil sir is asking, Vandame Banteji, how to identify if a person is faithful or not?
Good question. See, if you have faith towards one right person who is in the right path, because of that, if some person likes you and he tries to be with you, he tries to serve you, he tries to help you, assist you, then you can consider that person as a faithful person. This is very, very tricky thing, and of course very simple also. If you have right faith towards a right person, and by seeing this, by looking at your faith, if some person is showing faith in you, then you can consider him as a faithful person. I think all of you understood this. So for example, you have right faith in this right view and in this right view meditation, let us say. By looking at this, another person, your friend or your relative, he is showing interest in you and he is showing concern towards you, then he becomes a faithful person. By looking at your possessions, by looking at your say worldly things, by looking at your name and fame and your worldly influence, if some person tries to woo you, tries to pamper you, tries to be in association with you, then his faith will not be like very authoritative faith. It will not be right faith, or it can't be completely trusted. In that way, you can assess a person's faithfulness by looking at your faithfulness in the right faith, in the right wisdom. If the person is interested in you, then he is a faithful person. Next question.
Namaste, Banteji. Next question is from Anirudh Banteji. He's asking, Pranam Banteji, kindly help us to know qualities of a wise person and how one should associate with them.
The same thing I just now I told you. The qualities of a faithful person. That's what he's asking, right? Qualities of a faithful person.
Of a wise person, Banteji.
Wise person.
Yes, Banteji.
Okay, wise person is, wisdom is this only. Wisdom is like Say one who has understood the Four Noble Truths, that means what is happiness, what is suffering, what is the cause of happiness, what is the cause of suffering, and all the intricacies around this. One has understood, one has this right view of the suffering and happiness, that intricacies a person knows, then he is a wise person. That's all. The people with wrong views, though they may talk 1 million things, they may talk very ferociously, very aggressively, very confident, or many people they talk very logically, though they are having the wrong view. That means they don't have the clarity of what is suffering, what is the cause of suffering, what is happiness, what is the cause of happiness, the different intricacies, different ways and means to achieve happiness. These things they don't know, then he is not a wise person, whatever he may talk. Okay. Next question.
That's it from YouTube, Banteji.
That's it.
Yes, Banteji.
Okay, so we'll conclude with one small chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyang niddukho ahang niccha ahang viya idacha me sukhi hontu majjata chatavedino imam higammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada tato parancha Chakkavale Sujantano Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Sukhi Hontu Mangal. May all of you be happy, healthy, and peaceful. May all beings also be happy, healthy, and peaceful.
Thank you, Banteji.